So a lot of you guys probably remember about 2 weeks ago we had an update to the game. It actually introduced a new artifact, an even splendid version of it. However, we couldn't get any data on it. Well, you know how we also got an update in game yesterday. I was trying to figure out left, right, and center what had changed until I started poking around and realizing, hey, we've had something disappear. It seems like this item has disappeared. Now, I don't know if it was technically supposed to be something that came out at Chinese New Year and just didn't, but it does look like it went away. But it makes me want to speculate. What do you guys think that artifact is? Well, let's jump into the game. Let's take a look, see what artifacts we have nowadays. Give a little synopsis for those of you guys who aren't that familiar with artifacts. I kind of speculate what we think it might be. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So yeah, that seems to be what that weird mystery update was. No, it didn't give us anything good like the Sealand 40 that is on the Tap servers. Didn't give us any of that stuff. What it did do, basically just removed it from the list. So remember, it used to be right here next to the auspicious lucky cat. It also used to be down here in the regular version of the artifact list. It used to be in a couple other places, and it looks like they removed it from everywhere. It used to show up in the artifact gallery. It is no longer here either, and it used to show up over in the Ormus workshop, I believe. Actually, you know what? I don't remember if it was in the Ormus workshop. All I do know is that it did not come out. Now, there are a couple ramifications to that. Number one being that the auspicious lucky cat is not in the store yet. So if you guys didn't know how the artifacts show up in this store, essentially when the next newest artifact comes out, they put the previous one in it, which is why you can see right here the elusive mirrors in it. Whenever we have a brand new artifact come out, we will then get the auspicious lucky cat here. Kind of what I'm desperately waiting for on our free-to-play account. Now, what does that mean for us right now? Well, collecting these are still a little bit more premium for the special events. Elusive mirrors, you really don't even need more than one of these. If you guys didn't know, elusive mirror is like GG on Therapist Blood Betty, because even though this states it gives 15 energy to everyone at the end of the round, it actually does it at the beginning, which can then trigger her passive ability. We do have a very good variety of artifacts. However, I do think most of the ones we've been receiving have been defensive oriented. If we take a look, auspicious lucky cat, it does have some offensive capability with the fortune and prosperity and the gold and silver ingots. Technically elusive mirror, again, it can give all damage, but it's not designed for a hero. You have the gilded purple fan, again, core of it is built defensively. Does have some offensive capabilities with all damage dealt. And then the one before that was melodic strings. This is the last offensive one we've had, and to be honest, there's not many offensive ones in the game compared to defensive. You have Antlers Cane, you have Punisher, which kind of fell by the wayside. You have A and B, which again I'd call more of a defensive one, honestly. You have Kiss a Ghost, again, is very offensive, but the special ability is very defensive by giving yourself 90% healing of the damage that you've done. So we're kind of lacking on another offensive artifact, and I'm wondering if we ever get one that's going to do something crazy like increase dot damage or something like that, because it's gonna have to be a big number to compete with something like melodic strings, because this all damage dealt is just for pretty much everything out there. So you'll always have 20%. I mean, technically I feel like Antlers Cane is kind of like the dot damage offensive one, just because dot damage is affected by skill damage and attack, so those are kind of important precisions there. Also, it is sad to see the Punisher staff is made pretty irrelevant nowadays. I almost wish they would make a pass on all these old artifacts and update them to make them better, because this effect used to be a very strong effect. Nowadays, it's not so much, and it provides absolutely zero survivability. At least something like Augustus Magic Ball that has a high attack value has a pretty decent damage reduction effect. But again, even Augustus Magic Ball kind of falling behind unless you have an absolute crazy statted hero. One that never really hit was Kiss of Ghost. 100% armor break and attack is absolutely amazing, but usually base Kiss of Ghosts are just used as stat sticks because it gives 25% attack. It's pretty much the best thing next to like a flag, so it actually gives a little more than just base flag. So it's like is all right, but the healing part never really came through big, because if you don't have any defenses, or at least if you didn't have any defenses, this didn't do much for you. Lucky Candy Bar has always been a very niche item for certain game modes. And then you have Wildfire Torch. The biggest failure of Wildfire Torch is this part right here where it says 70% reduced dot received. However, it says Shielding Flame converts 80% of the damage you receive from active and basic attacks into a dot. Each time receiving 20% converted over 4 rounds. So that sounds good, except this part of the damage right here is not affected by, even though it turns it into a dot, it doesn't reduce it by a dot. I think this would actually be kind of usable even nowadays if this 70% reduced the total damage, because then it's like 70% damage reduction almost, but it's just spread out over rounds too. I don't know, that maybe it would be a little too busted. I don't know. We've had what, 1 energy artifact, 2 energy artifact, 3, and now 4. I don't see us getting another energy artifact anymore. I mean, literally 2 of them almost do the same thing. One gives more energy, the other one gives some all damage dealt and control immunity and such. And then we've had these weird, like, in-between ones. Gilded Purple Fan, Auspicious Lucky Cat. They kind of good and kind of not great, but it's hard to compare to a Golden Crown. Of course, if we run, like, a ton of these, it could get out of control. It could get insane, but we don't really know how it will. The fact that they nerfed Auspicious Lucky Cat literally the second it came out was probably one of the biggest issues. If you guys don't know the history of that, when this was released, it just automatically at the beginning of the round cast the Fortune and Prosperity. Now you have to release a basic or active skill. So that means, number 1, it used to be great for even like Void Campaign where they're having a lot of damage coming in. I think that was the goal, is have like 6 of these on a Void Campaign team. So you just get a ton of these like A and B type effects and all damage dealt effects right away. But now in game modes where you're not going first, this became absolutely horrible. Yes, it does have all damage reduction, but you compare the 24%, the 75% in round 1 essentially. Yeah. And as far as like other defensive ones, they've had some niches with like a repairing shield and stuff. I think it's time for another very offensive artifact, but not an energy based one. I really hope we see the next offensive artifact is not energy based and it's something very unique that makes it viable. But until that, I mean, it looked very offensive by the icon. I mean, it looked really, really offensive, to be honest. Like, looked like a golden cannon. To be fair, it honestly looked like it belonged to, where is she? We actually still have the hero. It looked like it belonged to this skin right here, the Interstellar Huntress Patricia skin. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it was gonna have a different alternative icon for something, because it looks a lot like the hoverboard she's got, but ended up not being that. So I don't know, but as far as we know, it is completely gone from the game now. It's not even in the game files. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think it could be, and hopefully it comes out. I mean, it feels very Chinese New Year-ish, especially since it's a dragon and it's Year of the Dragon. I don't know when else it would come out. Maybe an anniversary. We'll have to see. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys next time.